Hello and welcome back to Rabbit Reads, where we are now starting Skulduggery Pleasant, Playing with Fire, the second installment into the Skulduggery Pleasant series. Now, while it may only be a week for you that has been without, or since it's only the next week and it's a brand new episode of Rabbit Reads, it's been about a week and a half for me since I've recorded one of these, so do forgive me if I forget the voices. But we are going into the first chapter of Hanging Around. Valkyrie Kane hit the parapet and tumbled, unable to stop herself, and with a panicked gasp, she disappeared off the edge. The church towers stood high and proud, looking out over Dublin City. The night breeze was brisk and carried snatches of laughter from the street below. It was a long way down. A man in tattered coat walked up to the edge and peered over. He smirked. "This is insulting," he said. "Don't they know how dangerous I am? I am very, very dangerous. I'm a killer. I'm a trained killing machine. And still they send you, a child." Valkyrie felt her grip on the edge loosen. She ignored the goading of the man standing above her and looked around for something else to grab onto. She looked everywhere but down. Down was where the street was, where the long drop and the sudden stop was. She didn't want to look down. She didn't want anything to do with down right now. "What age are you?" the man continued. 13? What kind of responsible adult sends a 13-year-old child to stop me? What kind of thinking is that? Valkyrie swung herself gently towards the tower, planting her foot against a small buttress. The fear started to work through her, and she felt herself freeze up. She closed her eyes against the oncoming wave of paralysis. The man was Vorin Scapegrace, currently wanted in 5 countries for various counts of attempted murder. He hunkered down at the edge and smiled happily. "I'm turning murder into an art form. When I kill, I'm actually painting a big, big picture, using blood and messiness, you know?" Below Valkyrie, the city twinkled. "I'm an artist," Scapegrace continued. "Some people don't appreciate that. Some people don't recognize true talent when they see it. And that's fine. I'm not bitter. My time will come." "Serpine tried to bring the faceless ones back," Valkyrie managed to say. Her fingers were burning and the muscles in her legs were screaming at her. "We stopped him. We'll stop you." He laughed. "What, you think I want the old gods to walk the earth once again? Is that it? You think Nefarian Serpine was my leader? I'm not one of those nutbag disciples, alright? I'm my own man." Valkyrie had one chance, but she needed to be calm to take advantage of it. Her powers, limited though they were elemental. The manipulation of earth, air, fire, and water. But at this stage in her training, they didn't work when she was panicking. "So if you don't want the faceless ones to return," she said, "what do you want? Why are you doing this?" He shook his head. "You wouldn't understand. It's grown-up stuff. I just want a little appreciation for who I am, that's all. That's not much to ask, is it? But of course, you wouldn't know. You're just a kid." He shrugged. "Oh well, time to die." He reached down to shove her. "Have you killed anyone?" she asked quickly. "What? Did you miss what I said about turning murder into an art form?" "But you haven't actually killed anyone yet, have you? I read your file." He glowered. "Technically, yeah, alright, maybe I haven't. But tonight's the night. You're going to be my first." She readied herself, controlled her breathing. Find the space where everything connects, she murmured. Scapegrace frowned. What? Valkyrie kicked upwards, taking her right hand from the outcrop and feeling the air against her palm. She pushed at it like she'd been taught, and it shimmered and hit Scapegrace, throwing him off his feet. Valkyrie clutched at the edge of the parapet, her legs swinging in open air. She grunted and pulled herself up, then flung her left arm across the edge and hauled herself the rest of the way up. She got to her feet, and her arms and legs trembled with the strain and moved away from the edge. The wind whipped her dark hair across her face. Scapegrace was already getting up, and Valkyrie saw anger model his face. She clicked her fingers, generating a spark that she caught in her hand. She tried to focus, tried to build it into a flame, but Scapegrace was coming at her like a freight train. Valkyrie jumped and thrust out both feet, her boots slamming into his chest, and he hit the ground again and went sprawling. He turned to her just as she lashed a kick into his jaw. His body twisted and he tumbled back, came up to his feet, then lost his balance, fell again. He spat blood and glared. "You little brat," he snarled. "You uppity, sneaky little brat. You don't know who you're messing with, do you? I'm going to be the greatest killer the world has ever known." He stood up slowly, wiping his sleeve across his burst lip. "When I'm finished with you, I'm going to deliver your mutilated, bloody corpse to your masters as a warning. They sent you up against me alone. Next time, they're going to have to send a battalion." Valkyrie smiled, and Scapegrace's anger flared. "What the hell is so funny?" "First of all," she said, her confidence growing, "they're not my masters. I don't have a master. Second, they don't need a battalion to take you down. And third, and really is the most important point, whoever said I came alone?" Scapegrace frowned, turned, saw someone walking up behind him, a skeleton in a black suit, and he tried to attack, but a gloved fist hit his face. A foot hit his shin, and an elbow slammed into his chest. He fell in an awkward heap. Skulduggery Pleasant turned to Valkyrie. "You all right?" "I'll kill you both," Scapegrace howled. "Hush," Skulduggery said. Scapegrace launched himself forward, and Skulduggery moved into him, grabbed his outstretched arm and spun him around, then abruptly cut him off by slamming a forearm into his throat. Scapegrace flipped in midair, landed painfully. Skulduggery turned to Valkyrie again. "I'm okay," she said. "Really." Scapegrace had his hands to his face. "I think you broke my nose." They ignored him. "He talks a lot," Valkyrie said, "but I don't think he knows what all the words mean." Scapegrace leaped up. "I'm the Killer Supreme. I make murder into an art form." Skulduggery hit him again, and Scapegrace did a little twirl before falling. "Arian Scapegrace," he said, "by the power endowed unto me under the sanctuary rule of justice, I'm placing you under arrest for the attempted murder of Alexander Remit and Sophia Toyle in Oregon, Catharinus Ode and Armiger Fopp in Sydney, Gregory Castellan and Bartholomew." Scapegrace tried one last desperate attack that Skulduggery cut short by punching him very hard in the nose. The Killer Supreme wobbled, collapsed, and started crying. Well, if that is not a way to get a book started, then I don't know what is. As that was the first chapter in Skulduggery Pleasant playing with fire. And what we got was an amazing reintroduction to our two main characters, Valkyrie Kane in Skulduggery Pleasant. And they've already taken down someone who calls himself the Killer Supreme. I put quotations on that, just to be clear. Air quotations. And he doesn't seem to know squat. That's not true, actually. What he seems to know is that he can talk a lot. He talks a big game. But when it comes to an actual fight, he's not that good. Like, from the list that Skulduggery was going on about, he has come close, but he's never actually killed anyone. Which kind of is contradictory to his name, Killer Supreme. But, you know, all in all, that's an amazing start. Having Valkyrie fighting someone, and her technically be a distraction for Skulduggery to come and get the last blow in on him. But, yeah. So, without further ado, I'm going to leave this one here. So thank you guys so much for listening to this one. If you liked it, you know what to do. Keep things crazy, and I'll see you guys in the next one.